All right, kick us off, Avo.
What's good? What's good? It's your boy DJ Avo, and this is the Dynasty Bro Fantasy Football Podcast. And we back again with another one. Let's go. You know me getting phone calls, messing it up off top, man, off top.
This is the Dynasty Bros Fantasy Football Podcast. I am DJ Avo. Let's go. What's good, bros and babes? This is the Dynasty Bros Fantasy Football Podcast. Hey, we took a break. We still on break, and we're here to touch base on things way more important than football right now. So, per usual, I am Dynasty Bro Dot here with my co-bro.
Dynasty Bro Vic, what's up, everybody? Hope everybody's doing good. And of course, we got some guests, so I thought you was going to take it back from me.
Bro, I didn't think you was messing me at first.
Yeah, but we got Dynasty Bro Vic, and of course, we're joined by some guests. So before we get started into this discussion, let's start with the lovely young lady at the top. Do you mind introducing yourself to the world?
Not at all. Thank you for having me. Hi, everybody that is watching and listening. My name's Ebony Chappelle. I go by Ebony the Writer online, and I am an award-winning multimedia journalist. Right now, I work for a nonprofit doing programming for civic leaders, and I also host a weekly radio program called Open Lines that comes on 106.7 WTLC and Hot 96.3 every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. I co-host that show along with another esteemed journalist. His name's Cameron Riddle, and he is a reporter for RTV6. So that's a little bit about me. Excited to be here tonight.
All right, thanks for joining. She said award-winning, put some respect on her name. So yeah.
You know, one of my mentors told me that I need to flex more. I am not good at flexing. So I'm trying to, learn that muscle. You know? So,
there you go. All right. How about you, Brother Eli?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me. I'm Eli Johnson. I'm the pastor of the Fly Church in Indianapolis called the People's Church. And, man, I'm super hyped to be here. Thanks.
All right. Thanks for joining us. And, of course, you guys heard a lot about this guy here. We call him Snell A, but he goes by, what up, Snell? That's social media, man. Talk to the people.
What up, Snell?
I got to follow all these cool people. Hey, I'm Snell. I'm a normal guy. I don't do anything special. I'm just kidding. I'm an electrical engineer. I'm from Naptown. I stay out in Los Angeles now. I've been doing engineering right out of college, Purdue University graduate. That's it.
All right. Appreciate those intros, man. I'm looking forward to this conversation we're going to have. So, of course, as you guys know, we want to get into this racism pandemic that's been happening far too long. And, of course, on a weekly basis, we do fantasy football. But given what's going on, we thought it was important to take a break and talk about, some key things and hit on some key topics. So we got some great folks here in the room to help us with that. So we just met the panel. So we already went through that. Of course, you guys know myself, Avo, Dot. So I just want to jump into the conversation, man, with, elephant in the room. What frustrates you? So I'm going to let the lady lead first because we're going to be gentlemen. So, Ebony, be transparent. This is a safe space for us. So let's be open and honest.
Yeah, well, thank you so much again for having me and for asking me this question about what frustrates me. So there's a lot that frustrates me about this moment. One thing that's really at the top of my mind right now is the lack of leadership that we have on a national and local level. I just feel like there are certain people that we're looking to kind of guide us through this situation that we're experiencing with all of the policing issues, which have existed forever, but right now it's just kind of come to a head. Dealing with the pandemic, slow responses or no responses. That is one thing that frustrates me right now. Racism always frustrates me. And I think my main frustration comes from the fact that it is so pervasive. Like, it's on everything. If I could think of like a really bad analogy right now, it would be like, okay, so y'all, this is all men in the panel, right? I'm the one woman. When your wife or your girlfriend is wearing something with glitter on it, like, how annoying is that? Because that glitter gets every damn where. Like, it's on everything. And you be trying to figure out, like, where all this glitter come from? How we get rid of all this glitter? And it's on everything. And you're, like, kind of just stuck. that's what I think about with racism. Like, it's everywhere. It's in everything. It's all over the place. And people are trying to figure out, like, where did this come from? How do we get rid of it? Why is it all over me? Why is it all over everything? You know, so that's one of the things that frustrates me, because a lot of people want to try to address it, but there's no clear path right now to doing it. So that's room for opportunity, but it's still pretty frustrating at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could definitely agree with that. Any reactions to that from the guys? Any
No, I
thoughts,
mean, I
Quan?
agree. I agree with what she's saying. I
Yeah.
think it's absolutely everywhere. Like, you just almost can't get away from it. And I know firsthand about that glitter analogy, so I know exactly what you mean. But
Right.
it's like, and then all the people that choose to still ignore the blatant facts that are in their face, but they want to kind of twist the narrative and say, "Oh, black people are crying. Oh, black people are lazy. White supremacy doesn't exist." Like, you just see this like everywhere, and it's frustrating because even trying to have a conversation with that person and giving them blatant proof, it's like they don't care. They'll do whatever it takes to say, "Look, no, that doesn't exist. Y'all are lazy. Y'all are crybabies. Y'all are this. Y'all are that. Don't disrespect our flag." You know, the flag disrespect. They use every narrative to try and
Wow.
like take away from what we're telling them what we're fighting for. So that's, to me, that's just like a huge problem. That I don't really understand.
Yeah.
I feel you. If I can add something to that, it seems like there's a certain group of people who wake up in the morning
Y'all are this. Y'all are
and
that.
they watch Fox News for talking points, and then they use that like in every conversation that we
Yep.
have. So no matter what we say or how plain we make it, the glitter analogy was dope, by the way. And then you lay it out there, and they have their 5 points from Fox News. Even the president, their 5 points, and they're going to stick to that script no matter what. No matter if there's a death right there on camera, they got 5 points, and they're gonna give them to them.
That's a fact.
Yeah, Avo, what frustrates you?
Having to try to have these conversations with like 6 and 7-year-olds. My daughter's 4. She's not blind to what's going on. That's pretty much the most frustrating part, and being a dad in these moments and really wanting to do more, because you know, if I was out there protesting, I probably wouldn't be the person protesting. I'd probably be the guy messing stuff up, because it's just I'm super angry about the situation. So that's probably the lane I would be in, but I can't even do those things because I got to be a dad. And it's just frustrating just all around with that. Like, I got to try to explain this to my 4-year-old that, yeah, not all cops are the best people in the world. Like, there are some that are bad. I had to break my nephew's heart. Like, I watched him cry and he just walked away from him because he has a dream of being a police officer. But he sees what's happening and he's like, nah, something's wrong here. So as we try to explain it to him, he doesn't really get the chance to see it. Like, he's still slightly in denial, which at 7, I kind of want him to be in denial. I want him to have those dreams. So to know that I got to have these tough conversations and figure these things out with him and with my own daughter, like, it's difficult. It's difficult. So those are the things that frustrate me the most, for sure.
Okay. Any reactions to that from anyone?
Respect.
No, I just
Hey,
go
I'll
ahead.
piggyback off that. Oh man, appreciate it. Look, I just literally was going to the store, quick store run with my cousin Dale's son and stepson. They're both old, and literally everybody on their phone, even at this age now. So like, they're exposed to this shit early. My bad for cousin, but they had that conversation amongst themselves out loud, walking into a Walmart amongst tons of people, and I'm like, man, I want to tell them to stop having it, but you know, maybe it's enlightening for other people to hear that this is what our kids, our youth have to deal with, because it's frustrating that right now it took such the blatant death of George Floyd to finally be like, oh, this has been happening. No, it's literally been happening to where our 8-year-olds can see it, and they're worried about their future, and they're talking about it at 8, where they should be worried about school, what toys they're gonna play with next.
Exactly.
It's just that's frustrating, man. Like Avo said, being a father, man, it's not even 2 yet, and they already have to worry about things they shouldn't even have to be thinking about at that age. So
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as far as what frustrates me, turning on the news and seeing Black people die in cuffs or, in police presence, that's frustrating, especially when you have mass shootings and stuff going on like that. And those guys make it to court. And sometimes those guys even get pit stops at Burger King. So, and of course, I don't want to see anyone die in police custody. This isn't a, white or black. I don't want to see anyone die, but it just seems like on the news, it's always another Black male or female. Unfortunately, that's always dying in custody. So for me, that's frustrating. For me, I come from, an educated background, corporate job, but, of course, that doesn't mean anything. I feel like, I'm one and the same in terms of how police view me as a Black male. So that's frustrating, just seeing people die over and over and over. It's like it's always another hashtag that's trending. And of course, there's more unknown folks who we don't even know about as far as their names. So you know about these names, and then you got all the folks who didn't even get captured on social media. Right. So it's just it's concerning, it's frustrating, it's scary, it's annoying, it's heartbreaking. I mean, all these emotions built up in one. So that's what frustrates me.
Right there with you, bro. It's tough to see. It's definitely tough to see, especially repeatedly. That is the tough part. I was told we're under trauma. That's what I've been told by a few people that are psychologists. My bad, CBD.
Yo, can I interject real quick?
Yep.
Yo, so one of the things I try to say, Big, is that you said that you come from, corporate America, and it doesn't how police see you. I'm gonna put on my police hat for a second and tell you that does mean something. Let me this is what I share with people. Police officers are not scared of Black people. They are scared of angry Black people, right? They're not just scared of you. You talk proper. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get this citation. You're going to get up out of here. It's cool. It's when we're angry is when they don't know how to deal with us. You know what I'm saying? Like if they're stopping us or if they're agitating us, and, we loud, we passionate how we are. That's the Black person that they are afraid of through propaganda, through the news, through never having to deal with us. You know what I'm saying? So they come from a different culture or whatever. When we're angry, that's when they get afraid. And that's when you see them go to the left because they don't know how to deal with us.
No, Pastor Eli, I just want to jump in really quick on that one. I don't mean to ask you to speak on behalf of all law enforcement officials, but how do you explain that in the context of some of the things that we've seen? Because we've seen people be murdered who were not angry, who weren't overly excited, who were following all of the rules. I think about Philando Castile.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the last videos of that sort of thing that I watched. Because, as a human, but specifically like as a Black woman, like I can't watch any more of that sort of thing.
Real talk.
And I can't even imagine what it's like for a Black man. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on that because there are instances of people following all the rules and being respectable and still being murdered by police.
Oh, absolutely. And I appreciate the question. I dare not lump everybody into the same category because I know that there are different instances. In that one, you have a bogus police officer who was scared. You know what I'm saying? He was just afraid, period. You know what I mean? Moved too fast, done the wrong thing, killed somebody for no reason. So in that instance, I would say that he's afraid. And then you have the other side of the officers who are the vigilantes. These are the cats who didn't serve in the military, so they looking for a reason to kill a nigga. You know what I'm saying? So they're scanning the radio like we got action. You know what I'm saying? We got action. They on their way. So they're looking for that opportunity to where you have the afraid ones that they make the wrong move.
Yeah, and what I want to say to that, it seems like also, and I'm sure I got all my friends up here. We're all black males. We've all had encounters with police officers, and I'm sure we all got a story as far as where you got a police officer that's there to instigate the situation, that wants you to, kind of get out of line. That way they can justify doing something to you. And to be honest, I've never even asked my friends if they had any police encounters, like that. But that's just stuff that we don't even talk about. But I'm gonna ask you guys here: have you guys had any encounters? And I'm not saying, sitting here and saying, "Hey, let's run through them all," but just for my own awareness. See, and I've been knowing these guys for years, and we just don't talk about it. But we all got stories. So, question I have for you, Eli, can you kind of talk to us about like the process in terms of like how long it takes to become a cop? Because to me, it seems like if guys are rolling out there on edge, it just makes me question: is there enough training?
Yeah, absolutely. It took around 4 months to become a police officer, and for me, it was Monday through Friday, weekends off. But I actually stayed at the police academy Monday through Friday for 3 months in order to become it. You go through criminal law, you go through stops training, you go through all of those different things. I don't believe with all of my heart that there's enough training on how to deal with our community. You know what I mean? The average guy that I met at the police academy never even seen black people. Like they were from parts of Indiana I've never even heard of. Real talk. You know what
That's
I'm saying?
disturbing.
Yeah, Ebony, then you putting them on 42nd and Post. You know what I mean? And so like for me, it's like, dude, you don't even know what you're getting into. And whatever the good old boy system that you get connected to, they brainwash you before you even meet me. You know what I'm saying? And therein is a problem as well.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy. I'm kind of disagreeing with you on one part, and that's the they don't know how to deal with angry black people. That kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit because I feel like I know a lot of people. I've seen a lot of videos, and it's like to me, a lot of police have this preconceived notion that we're up to no good, or we have a weapon, or just some kind of preconceived. Their mind is already made up before they pull us over. So a lot of cases, a lot of these people that have died or even had an encounter have not been angry. They just don't know how to deal with black people. Or a matter of fact, they do. They do know how to deal with people. I'm a human. It's just the fact they have that, to me, they have that preconceived notion about me. And so now I'm in a position where I'm literally fighting for my life from the moment I see the lights behind me. So it's like, I got to put my hands on the wheel. I gotta tell him every single move I'm about to make. I'm not angry. He just already has his mind made up about me. You know what I mean? So like to me, that's been the case in a lot of these situations. Now, don't get me wrong. There have been some people that have been just angry and hostile and kind of, made the situation a little worse than it should have been. But for the most part, at least 90% of people I know that have dealt with the cops, and a lot of the videos I watched, they weren't angry. It's just the cop had his mind made up what he wanted to do. He was looking for a reason, and it happened. So that's just my opinion on it.
No, respect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do want to put out there, Chris, we're well aware there are good cops out there, so we're not focusing on that. This discussion is about like the bad apples.
It's the bad.
And there are some jobs that can't afford bad apples. I mean, Chris Rock put it best. American Airlines, they got to land all their planes. They can't afford bad apples. To me,
wow.
Surgeon got to get it right every time, or else somebody's gonna die.
So if you're here to protect and serve, we can't afford bad apples. So that's just what it comes down to. But what were you gonna say, Bo?
To speak to the small town mentality thing that Brother Eli was speaking about, I know that for a fact. Like, I went to a small school in Huntington, and just my experience there with my teammates, they literally don't know. And I'm so serious when I tell you that I was asked to something as simple as, "What do you guys eat for Thanksgiving?" When I was asked like those simple questions like that, I really began to understand. Wow. At least now, then I was pissed. Now in my older years, I understand that they really didn't know. I perceived a lot of it as racism when honestly, a lot of it was, they were just asking general questions. they really don't know how to deal with us. And don't get me wrong, I also dealt with a lot of racism from those same guys.
Right,
But I
right.
believe a lot of it was, a part of it was, at least they just did not know like about Black people at all, because they were also from other small towns. Like they weren't from Huntington, they were from other small towns around Indiana that I've honestly never heard of, did not know exist.
It's
So
crazy
like that is
because
definitely a thing.
let me share this and what you said, bro. In California, bro, I agree with you. And let me tell you, one of the things that I disagree with you as well is because when I was in the Marine Corps, I had white Marines that have never seen Black people before. But in that same breath, bro, they said to me, "But you're one of the good Black people."
Wow.
Like what the hell does that mean? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because I'm articulate, bro, or because I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like, what does that mean? But you're so, like you said, they already got a preconceived. So I agree with that, like preconceived idea of what Black people are to them. And like you said, I had to educate. Bro, I'm from the hood, but still, I know how to talk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I promise you, some of them.
I think your audio went low, Eli. Can you
You
guys hear?
freezing up.
Yeah, you're losing this audio.
Yeah, we lost your audio there for a second. Can you hear us, Eli? Okay, I think he's frozen.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in on that point about like some of the racism that exists when people don't know how to engage with the Black community. I think that's like really, really like not only unfortunate, but kind of unacceptable, because you know what? We were brought to this country. A lot of times we are forced to acclimate in societies and experiences that there is nobody that looks like us. But somehow we figured it out. We figured out how to communicate with white people. We figured out how to navigate their culture and all of that. Sorry, my cat is like moving around right now, so she's gonna make an appearance. But we had to figure out how to do all of those things while living in predominantly, you know, some of us living in predominantly Black neighborhoods. So it's like, how did we figure out how to coexist? Meanwhile, we've been in this country for hundreds of years and they still ain't figured out how to coexist with us. Like, I think I think it's unacceptable in 2020 for that just to be the case.
Yep.
Right.
That's a fact.
I mean,
how do we have to know how to interact with white people, but they don't know how to interact? When we grew up in a predominantly all Black, at least I did, all Black. How do I know how to treat another person of a different race, but they don't? To me, that just doesn't. I don't know.
It doesn't make sense.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, what Ebony's speaking to, I mean, it's white privilege. I mean, that's just what it comes down to. You know, and of course, you know, the term white privilege, you know, people may look at it as, well, maybe your life wasn't as hard as compared to Blacks, but really what it comes down to with white privilege, what that means to me is it just means your skin color wasn't anything that was holding you back. So not to say you didn't grow up poor or didn't have hardships or didn't come from a broken family potentially. It just means that your skin color didn't have anything to do with holding you back as far as from opportunity. So, but to Abel's point, he was talking about his teammates being at a predominantly white institute. I mean, I kind of experienced some of that too, but I want, you know, at least white people to be aware of, you know, when you come to me for what do Black people eat at Thanksgiving, don't walk away saying, oh, that's what all Black people eat. That's just what they eat at Abel's house. My house, we might be vegan. You know what I mean? So that's why we're sitting up here on this all Black panel. We don't represent the entire Black population. These are just individual views. So I've had people approach me at work, just wanting to have a dialogue, which I appreciate. And at the end of the conversation, I said, hey, also go talk to these other people because these are just my own individual views. I'm setting it in their head like, hey, I don't represent all Black people. I'm an individual. So go seek some other perspectives.
Yeah. Yeah. Super important.
All right. Well, since we lost Eli for a second, let's get into like the protests versus rioting versus looting. Dot, man, talk to us, man. Like, you know, when you hear these terms, what do they mean to you? So when you hear protests, riots, and looting.
Look, man, I put riots and looting all under protest, man. It's a form of protesting, man. And that's always frustrating is people that don't know what we're going through trying to tell us how to react to some shit that is caused that I didn't cause me to want to react the way I'm doing. That's with anything in life though, man. Like you can do whatever you want to, just as long as you're ready for a reaction, you feel me? And protest is a reaction to everything that's going on right now. I feel like it's unfair to judge anybody that's peacefully protesting. I think it's unfair to judge anybody that's rioting, looting. Just you can't tell those people how to take their anger out, how to endure that pain, man. So, I think looting and riots are a part of protesting. It's just different forms of protest. And I feel like you go out and it's like going through a tragic loss in your family. You can't tell somebody how to mourn. Some people are gonna be angry, some people are gonna be sad. You gotta let them people go through all them emotions, man. But just know everything that's going on right now is a reaction, something that we didn't bring amongst ourselves. So I hope everybody out there, black and white, is okay with whatever is going on right now because we didn't bring this on ourselves. So that's what.
Hey, before we move to the next person, all these terms is coming back to my head. So as far as when I was an undergrad, I'm a Black Studies minor. So what you were describing is white man's burden. So go ahead and Google that one too. I know we talked about white privilege, but just look up white man's burden as far as bringing oppressed people over here to America. And then now you got to deal with it. So to me, it's just coming back full circle again. I personally don't agree with rioting and looting, but to Doc's point, I get it. You can't tell someone how to mourn. So when I hear protests, I think about it being peacefully organized, structured, people out there, handing out water bottles, picking up trash. It's organized. When I hear riots, people are lighting stuff on fire, flipping over cars, like with the Philadelphia, what they did in Philly when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And then looting, those are just opportunists. So that's my take on it. Because if you go back to the protests, you don't see people marching down the streets with TVs in their hands because they were just looting and also they flipped the car over. So I just want people to learn the terms and like separate it. And unfortunately, everything does fall under the protest umbrella just because the media plants that seed. So
yeah.
What do y'all think about do y'all think about the other side of that though? Because like I could tell you firsthand in LA when we was out protesting, we were marching down the street and then we all congregated in one area on Fairfax, and they stopped us from marching. Mind you, I had saw the street that they stopped us from marching on before we got out of the car because we was looking for parking. So I came past Fairfax, we found parking, and then we walked back towards Fairfax. By the time we marched back on foot, Fairfax was closed. By the time they opened it back up, it was a line of just like 30 police cars. And to me, it's like, why? And abandoned. So to me, it's like, why are you putting this here so that we can destroy it? And then y'all could say, oh, look at these protesters doing this, trying to destroy this property, trying to do this. It just seemed really weird to me. And then there's like a bunch of videos of like officers with bricks and handing people stuff. And to me, it's just kind of weird to me. Like, what do y'all think about that?
I think you bring up a really interesting point about that. So a couple of things I wanted to address. Like one, I totally agree with Dot and Vic's points about protests, riots, and looting. A quote that's been thrown around a lot lately is a quote from Dr. King where he says, a riot is the voice of the unheard. I believe, and my apologies if I messed that quote up. It's been a very long day. But basically in that speech, before he got to that point, riots are the language of the unheard. Before he got to that point, he was talking about how he didn't necessarily agree with some of those forms of people expressing themselves, but he understood where it came from. So I just wanted to, echo those points that you all made. In making the distinction. And when you mentioned the media, I work in the media, and I think that mainstream media specifically does not do a good job of talking about race and talking about issues in a way that's equitable and that isn't super biased or like stereotyping people. They don't do a good job at that. And that's another conversation for another day. I'm not going to get all into that. But the root of it, a lot of times, is white privilege and like a extreme lack of diversity at the table. But when you look at local media, a lot of times, or even when you look at minority owned media, They do a better job a lot of the times in explaining that and talking specifically from the voice of the people and letting that kind of come to the forefront. Brandon, your point about the cop cars, yeah, that's one of the scary things about protests is that you have people that are there legitimately for the purpose of like, I believe in this movement. I want to help push this movement further. And then you have people that infiltrate the movement intentionally to be counterproductive. So either they're going to try to make people pay attention to something else. So it's like, oh, look at this shiny thing over here. Let me distract y'all while y'all are all out here protesting for this one thing you showed up for. Or you have people that do things even more nefarious, like the cops parking those cars. They probably either they park them there intentionally to try to get people to destroy them to then have that to talk about, or it was an intimidation tactic to try to keep people from being over there. So there's a couple different ways that could have been. But there's people right now circulating things online. I don't know the validity of this, but about bricks, big pallets of bricks being dropped off at protest sites. And they're like, who are dropping these bricks here? Are they dropping them on purpose so that people do destroy things? So that could either be the police, or that could be anarchists, that could be white supremacists. I mean, that could be any person trying to do that. But I think that's one thing that we really have to be careful about with the protests is being aware that there are infiltrators at all levels trying to, destroy that work that's being done.
Yeah. She said nefarious. I'm gonna add that to the Scrabble word.
Yeah, I got a couple words,
Yeah. Hey, Ava, what you got, man, on the protests, riots, and looting?
Well, clearly y'all already defined everything, so I'll let you know straight up. I'm with all the protests. I'm down to riot like 1,000%. Like I'm with them shits. The looting, I'm a little off about. I'm even a little off about some of the rioting. I agree with Miss Ebony's point and Snell's point that there's clearly other people kind of infiltrating, because I know that if we had control of the riots, certain businesses would get burned and certain businesses wouldn't. But that's just, I've been seeing black businesses get burned, and I'm like, nah, why would we do that? Like, that's not what we would do. So I've been seeing so many people take advantage of the situation as opposed to really being down with the cause. I've even seen multiple videos of people that are literally looting in the moment, but don't give a damn about George Floyd. Like all at the same time. So it's like when you see those videos, like you understand that, all right, there's maybe one here, but I'm sure that one is multiplied across every city by the thousands easy. So just knowing that there's other people makes me mad. Like nah, makes me more be like, all right, let's just protest. All black folks, let's decide to stop rioting, stop looting. Because I've even heard cops say, we need to tell these white boys to stop looting. These guys with the skateboards that are coming through here smashing windows and things. And I'm like, damn, it's not all us.
No, it's definitely not all us.
It needs to be us. If we're sitting here, I saw a group of black folks protect a Target. They like, nah, this ain't us. We ain't doing this.
That to me is bullshit. I'm sorry, I gotta jump in on that one.
I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but I'm saying that
it's not. It's not a good thing.
They're like, but I think that at least from what I could tell, y'all not black folks. We're not deciding to do this. Y'all are deciding to do this.
Yeah.
If we decide to do it, cool. But y'all are deciding to do it. Nah, forget that. They're gonna blame us either way. So let us do it if we're gonna do it.
It's a mess. Yeah, a lot of that is a mess. But you know what? My thing with the riots, I totally understand them. Am I gonna go out and join a riot? Probably not. But I mean, I don't. Anything could happen. Some crazy shit could pop off next week. I do not know. Looting, it's one of those things that, like, there have been instances of people being considered looters who were trying to survive. So when Hurricane Katrina happened, there were people that I'm watching TV, and Hurricane Katrina hit on my birthday. I was in high school on my birthday watching CNN. All these black people just like, being destroyed by this hurricane, and nobody gave a damn. And I'm heartbroken. And I'm watching people run into the store grabbing supplies, and the news is calling them looters. And I'm like, do you not know that these people is probably going to die if they don't get this stuff because y'all abandoned them. Like the United States completely abandoned New Orleans during that time, specifically Black people. So in an instance like that, take everything. Like, I do not care. Take whatever it is you need. I heard about some Black people protecting the Target, and that sounded like the wildest shit I had ever heard in my life. Like, Target got money on top of money on top of money. Like, they're not going to miss. You could run through 10,000 Targets and they're going to be able to replace that stuff and, insurance, all that other things. People spend buku money in Target. Like, they're going to be okay. I don't understand anybody that would take their Black self out of their house and go stand in front of Target. Like, is Target going to come and stand in front of your business and protect it from looters, or stand in front of you to protect you from getting murdered by police? Like, no, they're not going to do that. So for somebody to take their ass and stand in front of Target is beyond me. That is beyond me. I don't get that.
We got a question in the chat.
That for sure.
Question in the chat. So, of course, I painted the picture of protesting throughout the day where it's more structured, peacefully. Ebony, have you protested in March at night before?
Yeah, I've done the daytime and the nighttime different type of protests, and most everything I've been involved in has been extremely peaceful. The drama starts when police are being aggressive. One, that's probably one of the main things, when police are being aggressive. And then two, when you have people that are inexperienced protesters that don't pay attention to instructions. So there's organizers that tell people what to do. They'll say, hey, everybody gather up over here. We're going to explain to y'all what we're going to do today. This is how you keep yourself safe, etc. I don't advise anybody participate in any sort of demonstration that's not organized. Don't ever do that, because you put yourself in danger and bad stuff can happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's good to know. Good to know.
All right. Well, let's transition to like the role the media plays, like news media and also social media. So what are their roles and responsibility? Ebony, you kind of touched on it with mass media not doing a great job of, deciphering between protests and rioting and looting. I want to start with like CNN, because that's what I follow, at least for that's one of my main news sources. I think they're kind of 50-50. I think they do a good job of trying to connect people, but then I also think they do a bad job of, putting people on edge and raising anxiety and creating fear, because I just protested this past weekend in terms of, in a peaceful march, but I've been watching CNN all week since Memorial Day. And, I probably shouldn't have been out there based on what the picture CNN painted for me with what's going on and all the chaos out there. So I do want to say, don't let the media, brainwash you in terms of thinking everything's out there chaotic. And of course, they do got to flash to the cities like Seattle when it's getting out of hand, and flash to New York City, Times Square when it's getting out of hand. But they feed off that. So, so what are you guys' thoughts? Dom, I'm gonna start with you. So what role does the mass media play in social media? You can take either one.
Well, the media is their money maker is to show what is going to get the most attention from the eye and from the ear. So of course, when it's coming down to what we're going through right now, they're going to show things going up in flames, tons of cop cars and fights. That's the thing that they think is going to bring the attention. Like if I look at the TV and I see a whole bunch of just cities burned down and buildings getting tore down, it's like, oh, that's that quick attention you need. They don't ever really think that, us paying attention to, going into these cities and touching people and hearing their voice is going to really bring that attention that they need to be CNN. So I can't really blame the media for what they're showing, man, because that's really what they're meant to do, that though. And that's with anything they're marketing on TV. So like you said, man, don't let them brainwash you into being afraid to go out there. If you want to go protest, you want to go put your foot down, whatever you want to do, man, do it from the heart. And don't let CNN tell you what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. They got a purpose, and it ain't really to help us personally. So if they're CNN first, that's them.
Yeah. What you guys know?
I mean, I agree with what Dot's saying. Like, I really don't pay attention to the news as much as I should, because I know they're only flashing to like the negative situations, because that's what's going to get the most attention. But it's like social media is kind of the same, but it's also a tool for positivity, which is what everybody's trying to do. Is, well, not everybody, but a lot of people are trying to show the peaceful parts of the protest, or, you know, a bunch of black people protecting a cop, which I still don't know if I agree with, but they're trying to show you, look, it's not us doing all this
Right.
craziness, and there's a bunch of positivity. There's a bunch of outlets highlighting black-owned businesses. Like, there's so much positivity that the news is not showing you, and everybody's on social media, and older people even are getting on social media. So it's like you can't rely on one source. You got to get all the information. This is at least what I try to do, at least
Right.
personally. Try to get all the information. I'm trying to find as many black businesses as I can to replace a lot of the stuff that I was using. And I get a lot of it from social media. I mean, literally, it's right there. You just gotta open your eyes and not fall for the trick that, you know, the mainstream media. I don't want to say trick, but they just want the attention. So you got to kind of just get the whole picture.
Yeah. What you got, Avo?
Well, I try not to pay attention too much of the big news outlets. I watch the Young Turks and Roland Martin. Try to get a good grip of what's going on out here, because at least feel like at least I know Roland's gonna be as black as possible, and I feel like the Young Turks try to give me the most rounded ideas. So I really try to stay off of Fox, CNN. I try not to pay attention to that. Kept raising my anxiety like crazy. So I said, man, fuck that shit, and then moved on to the social media game, and I like a lot of the news I get from there. I think that's big key to the revolution. I don't know if it's supposed to be televised or not supposed to be televised. I don't know what the quote is, but I can tell you it definitely will be televised. Like, you will see it because the people are showing you, like, for sure. So I enjoy that part of everything. So I'm just happy I get to see it all, to know what's real and what's fake, because otherwise all we would have is CNN and Fox, and I see how they can control whole narratives. So I believe it's honestly not none of their responsibilities. I believe it's our responsibility as consumers of the news to try to figure out what's real and what's bullshit. It's tough
Yeah.
to try to find those news sites, but it's up to us to try to be as objective as possible to understand that this is right wing leaning or left wing leaning, however you say them words. But that's basically how I feel. You got to use your own mind.
Yo, I hate AP. I'm sorry. I can't look at his screen, man. He keeps
I know,
smiling.
right?
Yeah.
Make me laugh.
Yeah. So I just wanted to jump in here on this conversation about the media roles and responsibility. I think a lot of good points were brought up. One, Avo, I wanted to tell you where that quote came from. So there's a song that came out in the 70s. It's called "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised." It's by a poet named Gil Scott-Heron. So that
thank you.
That quote is another one that's been used a lot during this time of protest and uprising, as we should probably call it. But going back to the media, so I've done like trainings with people before, like kind of educating them on like this is how to like consume media properly, to understand what's going on and to make a good make your own mind up about things. Whoever brought up that point, I think that's a really important point. You know, you can watch all of this stuff, you can read all this stuff, etc., but you have to have a personal understanding for what's important to you, what your belief system is, and then kind of look at things through that gaze. The mainstream media, while they do have a lot of issues, the one thing that I will say is that journalists, actual trained journalists, like their role and responsibility is to bring the truth to people and to ask the hard questions. So they are trained, like I'm trained to, when I'm interviewing like a politician or doing a story about something, to look at all of the angles and to get the answers that people want. So the journalist role is to kind of be like that voice of the people to go out and to seek truth and to bring it back. Does everybody do that? Right? No. And then there are a lot of people that call themselves journalists that aren't journalists. They are media personalities. So when you are watching CNN, a lot of times who they will have on screen sometimes are media personalities. These people are going to speak to you from their opinion. Sometimes their opinion is something that is like an act. It's a performance, you know. You have those kind of people. So I think of like a Candace Owens or like a Tommy Loren. Like these people are performers. They are not journalists. They are performers. But people sometimes think that they're journalists and then look to them to have answers for things. And that's not what they're doing. So that's a problem. I definitely think that social media is a good tool. But one thing that I would say to be careful about is that there are a lot of things that are circulating on social media that are flat out not true. You can make up news stories. There's a website you can go to and it'll give you a URL that has CBS in it, and it looks like a CBS website, but it's not. It's completely made up. And then you can repost that on Facebook. It gets 12,000 shares. And it's something that somebody completely made up. It's fake. I made one up one time for a class I was teaching to show people how easy it is to make this shit up on the internet. So the problem with that is you have people that are intentionally making stuff up. You have people that get paid to do this. So you have like these farms in like third world countries. And when I say farm, I mean that not in a literal sense, but like these warehouses in third world countries where people crank out content all day long. Creating content for the internet is like a multi-billion-dollar business. So people sit up and do this all day long and they're just making stuff up. So those articles and stuff that got shared on Facebook influenced the 2016 election. So a lot of that is the reason why we have Donald Trump as president, is because people relied on social media only, specifically Facebook, to give them their news. So they were getting stuff that was untrue. I always tell people your best sources to start with are your local news outlets. Local news. So here in Indianapolis, that's like your top like news stations, so like Fox, CBS, Wish, you know, RTV6, radio. You know, like I'm on the radio or whatever, and we have radio programs where we are bringing the news. And then you have print media as well. So we have like the Indianapolis Recorder, the Star, those type of places. So always starting with your local news to get a real accurate sense of what's happening in your community. I wouldn't say like just discount it all. It's all bullshit, because it's not. A lot of it is real. You just gotta like train yourself to kind of learn how to decipher through all of the foolishness that gets put out there sometimes. And it's not easy. None of us are like taught how to do it. I really think it's a class that they should have in high school, like how to consume media, like how to be a smart consumer. Because if you're not, that's how we end up with our political system looking the way it is. Like America has the least informed electorate. Like our people don't know shit about how things work because of largely in part because of the media, like not knowing how to be smart consumers of it. So that's my soapbox moment.
Yeah. I will say this. If you want the real, get on Twitter. Twitter will give you the real and raw. So that's the stopgap in the meantime for right now. Hey, I'm telling you, you'll get the real. But I do want to share some like pros and cons with social media as far as the responsibility it shares. So with social media, I mean, it's done us a service in terms of when these cops don't have their body cams on, someone has their cell phone out recording and then holding at least a situation accountable, whether justice gets served or not. That's another story. So that's one pro. I'm trying to think of another pro, but I actually lost my train of thought. But another con, though, would be like go back to that blackout situation that we did last Tuesday. I want us to be more mindful of that, like stuff like that. Like we need to know who put this out. Was this a Black Lives Matter thing, or was this a white supremacist group that's tired of seeing us protests on the social media, so they want to black us out, and we just fell for it? So I want us to question these things, look at the rollout. If we are going to do stuff like that, give us 30 days. I don't want to learn about it the day before or the day of. So So those are some pros and cons. But social media is powerful. It just goes to show how powerful it is. To your point, Ebony. So yeah, definitely be responsible with it.
Yeah, definitely. Because honestly, we all have a platform. Like every one of us, anybody that has a profile on any social media has a platform. So then you become a creator of media after that. So everything you share, like you're right, people have a responsibility to think about what it is they're sharing and find out if it's true first before you share it with somebody else. Like you damn near endangering your loved ones just sharing shit, not even really knowing where it came from. So yeah.
All right, so we do have one more topic, but before we transition, I want the people to know we are going to do a Q&A. So start thinking about your questions. We'll take them in the comments. But to the panel here, before we transition, any other final thoughts or comments on the media?
Nope.
All right. Well, the next topic here: how do we end social injustices and systematic racism? So I know that's loaded. It's not something we're going to solve in a day or
Like,
have
what?
a change of heart in 24 hours.
But
Like
I got the
freeze.
answer right. Hold on, I wrote it down. Let me go ahead
It's
and tell you
gonna-
how.
Well, you deserve a Nobel Prize if you got the answer to that.
It's gonna take more than 24 hours to turn it around. So, but I kind of want to just brainstorm here. Like, what are some things that you guys think we can put in place as a Black community, as a culture, to help with this effort? And of course, we do have allies. So, I mean, we have people of all walks of life, races, ethnicities marching with us in the protests. So, but I want us to kind of focus on like as a Black community.
Well,
we have to.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Snoop.
Go ahead. You want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Personally, myself, I have not been like a super political person when it comes to voting. Like I vote for like the president, and that's it. But I told myself this weekend I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna make a list of all the local positions in my county and in my area that are gonna affect, a lot of these things that a lot of these situations that don't get justice is because of who's in that seat, who's the DA, what judges are in your county, what what I mean, Senate seats, just all those positions. I want to make a list of all those positions, who's in the position, when is the election, and what do the candidates stand for? Because there's a lot of people out there like me that only voted for the president, and that's actually a terrible way to be. You need to know what's going on where you live. You need to know who's in these seats, because that could be the very well difference, or at least one of the difference, for us to get justice in a lot of these situations. And it could very well change the behavior of not all, but a lot of cops, because they know, okay, if I do this person's in this seat. They thought process don't align with mine. Let me chill out before I make a decision. And so you just got to kind of know what's going on. So me personally, that's what I'm going to do. And that's what I'm trying to tell people around me to do, because I know pretty much everybody I know don't know anything about the local elections.
Yeah. Hey,
everybody I know.
Hey, I'm laughing. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Now I was gonna say I'm laughing because I literally, me and the wife, we just did our absentee ballots, and I literally just copied off hers like a Scantron test. I'm not gonna front. Hey, I put it like this.
Black
For one,
women leaders.
listen, but check me out. I'm not gonna lie, but like, of course, like for one, I don't even know how to research or where to research. Like, so I need to get educated, like to Snell's point, on how to like research these guys. But hey, I do trust her. Her decisions that she put out there. But next year I'm gonna do better.
My last thing about that, like, if we learn some technical shit. Like, playing Call of Duty is technical as fuck. Like,
it is. It's a job too.
It's a technical game. I mean, it really is. We learn everything in corporate America. We learn all this stuff in our jobs. We know every lyric to every song that we ever heard that we loved. If we can do all of that and memorize it and research it and know about the artists, y'all got a sports podcast. Y'all literally, I listen to facts that y'all say about these dudes, and I'm like, how the hell do y'all just rattle this off? I'm the same way with basketball. You know that. I can tell you anything about any player, anywhere, anytime, where they went to high school, where they went to college, how much they averaged. If we take that same thought process and put it towards trying to understand, I can remember all these facts about this candidate. He did this, and this. Like, we will make a huge difference.
Yeah.
People need to start, like, we need to shift that technical thinking from all the stuff we love and put it into these these things that we don't know about. We need to research it. We need to learn it, and we need to know, because your brain has the capacity. We all know that. So that's all I'll say on that. That's my last thing.
All right, Ebony,
Powerful.
what would you say, Ebony? How can we take a stab at ending social injustices and systematic racism?
Yeah. I think, first of all, Snell brought up some excellent points about voting. Voting is the first step. It is your privilege as an American citizen to go ahead and do that. You know, as far as like how to research, he gave a really great outline of how to do that, kind of making a list. I know here in Indiana, vote.nd.gov, you can pull your ballot, you know, on that website. You can type in all your information. It'll give you the ballot, your specific ballot of who's going to be there, because something vary by district or by county, but it breaks down for you. And then what I do is I look that person up online. I just take their name and I go put it in Google, and different things will pop up that I can read through. So like the first link might be Ballotpedia, which is like Wikipedia, but for politicians. That might be the first thing up there. If they have Facebook, if they have a website, you know, I dig through that type of stuff to kind of get an idea for who is this person, like what do they represent. And if I'm doing research and I can't find nothing about that person, I don't vote for that person. I don't vote for them, because it's 2020. If you are so lazy to the point where because a lot of these politicians are lazy. Like, I'm not even going to lie. Like, there's some people that have been in a position forever and have not moved the needle forward at all. The people that are voting, and sometimes people are winning these elections by like a very small percentage of the vote. So it's like they ain't even have to work that hard to win. It's just the people that showed up gonna always vote for them because they rock with them. But this person hasn't done anything, you know, in years, and they don't even have an online presence to try to educate their constituents. Like, that's awful. So like, I'm not voting for that person. I just move on. So I think definitely voting is a way that we take a stab at it, by voting for people that want to end systemic racism and want to address these injustices. That's one thing. I think the other thing that Black people can do, we really need to take care of ourselves. Black people need to take care of ourselves. Like, ever since we've been here, like, our obligation has been to like serve white people, survive white people, and coexist with white people. And there is not enough time for us to take care of ourselves and our families. When we are strong as a unit and as a people, we can better combat these things, but we can't do that if we don't take care of ourselves. So that's one thing that I have. And then a lot of the work, really, when it comes to dismantling this, a lot of the work is white people. White people have to talk to each other and get their shit together, because they're the ones that hold the keys when it comes to this. Like, they created these systems, they benefit from these systems. So that's kind of a them thing. What we have to do is, like, if we're in positions of power where we have influence over white people, never let them forget that it's their obligation to fix this. So like, there's an organization here in Indiana called Central Indiana Community Foundation, or CICF. They're one of the largest nonprofits in the state. And they quite boldly, their CEO is a white man, and he very boldly last year in a stadium full of people said, "We are a white power organization, and today we want to change that." So their whole mission since then, they have this whole strategic plan. Their whole mission since then has been to address systemic racism by putting the power back into the hands of people of color. And he doesn't make those decisions on his own. He works alongside like very influential Black people that are consistently like holding the bar high. Like, this is where we need to be. So if you're a Black person in position of influence, let these white people know that like they have to do better. Don't feel scared to tell them to do better, because you're in that spot for a reason, to have influence over them. So don't be scared to speak up and tell them to get their shit together.
Tell them, Hove. Tell Goodell and those guys.
All of them.
All right. What you got, Doc?
Man, it's hard to follow those two answers, so I will slightly piggyback on what was just said. even if you don't have position of power, we need to make sure that we're still having these uncomfortable conversations, even with the people that, you know, we call our peers and our friends of the opposite color, because let them know that we're not all right. The way that everything is going on with us is not all right. So they can understand it also. You know, we can smile, we can hang, we can talk football, but still somewhere they need to know that we're not all right. So then they can start to keep understanding what real life is for us. It's not just when we link up, they can see a friendship. They need to see what's deeper rooted on a day to day from our side of point of view on a day to day. So then even if we can't reach somebody because they don't want to hear from me, maybe White Sam can holler at somebody of his skin color that might not want to hear from me, but understand it from him. So just continue to keep having these uncomfortable conversations and just let it be known that the way we are being treated is not okay. We are not doing okay. We, you know, everything that you think is equal is not equal. So just keep on speaking up about it and not sugarcoating it. I think that's what we need to do, and some things that could help.
Yeah, and before we go to Avo, I do want to add, it took a pandemic to shut down sports and entertainment for white people to actually understand what we've been going through for years since since we've been brought here. So, man, it's almost like the pandemic was a blessing in disguise.
It's
but
a
Avo, yeah, Avo, what you got?
Come on, man. They done took all the good points. I was trying to jump in first with voting, but then boom, got knocked down.
My bad, bro.
Nah,
you
good.
can still go on the vote, and we can't talk about that enough. That's important.
Hey, tell them to register to vote then.
That is the that is the number one thing that I was gonna land on, is definitely the voting. I was talking with with Derek about it just way before any of the pandemic, any of this happened. I had realized that I need to know who to vote for around here. I just needed to understand how this whole political process works. I feel like I was maybe stripped of that in high school. Like, shouldn't I have learned that there? And also, along with that, is the major economy. Like, I don't know anything about economy. I actually remember the class very well. I watched Transformers. It was a cool movie. Watched that a lot. Didn't learn anything about the economy. I feel like I was tricked, bamboozled, all that shit. And I feel like that's what we need for sure to help end all of this, is for us to take back the economic power in all of this. And then y'all can't fuck with us. I already know. I know that money is power, and if we could group our money together as a powerful organization that we can be, y'all can't stop us. I already know that answer. That's why they're scared. Yeah. Every time I see numbers, they talk about how the black people in America spend like some type of $1 trillion more than small countries. And I'm like, yo, word? Oh, that's why they're scared. I get it. Yeah. I get it. Because if we take that power, y'all can't do shit.
I agree. I think we should, spend our money within our communities, black-owned small businesses. So I think we should prioritize black dollars, black businesses, and then small businesses, mom and pop, stuff like that. And then also, we do got to vote. That's important. So we're going to keep echoing that. And so it's great that we're protesting, but you also got to beat the bullies up in the polls. And then to Ebony's point, we got to do better as a community or culture. I mean, we got to keep the black family household together too. Our household historically has been broken up going back to slavery, and then now with the prison system. So we got to have the 2-parent household. Give our kids some examples to look up to, and not to say there aren't single parents out there doing their thing, but let's come together. Let's build a structure.
Yeah, a village. Have the village mentality.
Yeah.
And take care of yourself, man.
Definitely
take care of yourself. You want to be here. They banking on any way to get rid of us. Go to the doctor, and don't just go to the doctor. Get your blood work done. You need to know what's wrong with your body. I get blood work every single year. And I work out, and I try to eat healthy. Just you want to be here, so just take care of yourself. That's another thing you can do.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get to this Q&A, go ahead.
Hold on, Vic. I got a text message because I assume Derek is watching. So along with the voting thing, he says, make sure we pay attention to what elected officials vote in favor or against, since it's public information. Basically.
You bleeped out.
We lost Avo. We can't hear you. All right, we're gonna take questions. If you got questions,
gosh, he know his phone. He know his phone and his tablet can't work under that Wi-Fi at the same time.
Oh no!
Damn, man.
Why you had to do him like that though?
Nah, man, my wife got a phone call.
Okay.
My wife got a phone call, man. Just make sure we keep our foot. Just make sure we keep our foot on these elected officials' necks, man. Just make sure that they do what we need them to do, or we get their ass out of office.
all right. Before we get to the closing, any questions you guys want us to take for the panel? Anything? Any controversial topics? Drew Brees? It don't matter. MLB, whatever.
I could say something about Drew Brees.
Go ahead.
Through Drew Brees, I was able to learn why he needs to be able to say that comment. Like he has to be able to say that so that then he can be corrected, so that he can say what he said to Trump. Because I like that. So like he needs to be allowed to say that BS that I hated to hear. I didn't like to hear it either, but at the same time, he got a chance to be corrected in the public view, to where he was then able to say something to Trump in the public view. And I just think all that stuff is on the positive side of things when it was extremely negative to start out with.
Well,
Man,
here's my take on that, man. I feel like the man spoke from the heart, and then he got backlash, so he apologized. So to me, I feel like he feels how he felt with his original statement, because if you got to apologize 3 times, that's not genuine. If you got your PR team cleaning up your Instagram post and then cleaning up your video post, I don't know. I mean, you only got to apologize 1 time. So to me, that's already a bad look.
Fair enough.
And then also, of course, Drew Brees was welcome into the black community, but this is what happens, in my opinion, when you have white people who are able to, be accepted by black people. And of course, we're a accepting
cookout.
But when you've been away from the cookout and away from the locker room, you fall back to your
I hate that
privilege and your norms. So to me, this is a typical, like, hey, you got the white kid hanging around the black guys, rocking Sean John and rocker wear, and then the summer comes by, he come back to school rocking Abercrombie and Fitch, because that's just who he is. So you might as well just be yourself up front, off top, instead of trying to portray something. And yes, I know Drew Brees donated and all this good stuff, but you can't buy me with money. So for me to accept Drew Brees' apology, I need him to kneel on Sundays at these games. Then I know it's real.
Man, fuck that, bro. Bro, the kneeling started in the market he's in. He's in the biggest black market in the NFL. It shouldn't take you 3 years and backlash for you to finally wake up and say, "Oh, I get it." When you so much as you're our ally, you've been for years. You say like it shouldn't take backlash from us to finally say you get it. I thought you had it when you said you was my ally. So fuck that.
Yeah,
you're right.
Snell said something about the cookout, how he hates that whole concept. I hate that concept too. I think that's some bullshit. Like it's about this.
Yeah, that any video people see somebody dancing, a white person dances, like, oh, you invited to the cookout, or I don't know. I hate that comment, but that was a sidebar.
I feel you.
No, it's
good
because you're right. We end up in situations like this. Like he meant exactly what it is that he said. Like in this, I keep going back to the fact that it's 2020. Like all of this stuff we're talking about is nothing new. Like this is not new stuff. So like he is a grown man. He's been forming these opinions for years. You work with black people. He's with black people all the time. They're his teammates, whatever. Like you believe really what you said. And that's the problem. A lot of them feel that way and are able to slip beneath the radar. And then they make a gaffe, as they want to call it, on video. And I'm just like, because you meant that shit. Like you meant exactly what you said.
Yeah. Yep. And look at the NFL, man. Like they put out this empty statement, and then you got this video with Odell and Patrick Mahomes saying Black Lives Matter, and then Goodell issued a Black Lives Matter statement. Like that statement should have came out before the players put out their statement. So,
and that statement is a joke because Kaepernick still don't have a job.
That's why did the players not say something about? You need to. They said something in that video about an apology, but they should have mentioned Cap by name, in my opinion. Like
they're all cowards. They're all cowards.
You making this video you making this video to stand up, but to me, it's like y'all brother is without a job for the very thing that the world is fighting for. All of y'all should have said his name in that video It said, we ain't rocking with you. So you publicly apologize to him. Don't say or give him a job. It's and give him a job. So
Yeah.
that's just my opinion.
Well, also keep in mind, I think Goodell should have said Capper was right and Eric Reed was right. Black lives do matter. So I do think they owe them that apology. Otherwise, I can't accept that statement they put out, even though it was all heartfelt. But that statement should have came out originally. So yeah, that's kind of my take on that. And I lost my other train of thought.
Again,
Hey, did he give you some of that
Rick and Ryan.
earlier?
Man, it's that
CBD.
good CBD, boy.
Yeah, I'm like, you must have had a little bit of that.
Yeah. All right. Well, there was only one question from Sam. Who's your QB, Dot? Who's your QB1? I don't know if we're going to answer that. Break fantasy,
This is when
whatever.
y'all speaking Japanese to me. I don't know what none of this is about.
Nah. In my defense, can I read a text message that was sent to me from Sam? And it touches on this. So I'm not really trying to get in fantasy football. But let me read. I got this text message from Sam earlier. It said, they're talking about Drew Lock on Good Morning Football today. Parts about racial injustice. Apparently, he was a big part of a protest while he was at Missouri as well. You've heard some white people saying he heard some people saying and showing the other day that he heard some people saying his showing the other day was just a publicity stunt when he was at the protest.
Mm-hmm.
And then they said that he's been part of protests and stuff since he's been in college. So before all this was happening. So shout out to Drew Lock, man. He's down there my QB1, bro.
Yeah, I remember that. That's when the Mizzou players sat out like that summer. So I was reminded of that event at least. So we are at the point where we want to, say something good to the people to close out the episode. And I do want to let people know, we will be doing a part 2. We're going to have a diverse panel. So we do want to kind of hone in closer on how can we solve social injustices and end police brutality. So we're going to invite on a diverse panel. But I want to go around the room, let people know where they can follow you, and then also give us, your good word to close out the episode. So let's start with the lady.
All right. So where you can follow me, you guys can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. My handle is at Ebony the Writer. Everything is spelled properly. It ain't nothing, no fancy spelling. Ebony the Writer on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And what I want to leave people with in terms of like a good thought, there's a podcast that I listen to. It's a podcast and a radio show called This American Life. And they did a series on Afrofuturism a while ago. And they replayed one of the episodes this week because of all the things that are going on, around the country, all of the uprising and whatnot. And it was about Black people being in the future. So we are in the future. We have a future. We will be in the future. So what we're going through right now, all of these things are, while they are extremely painful, are temporary. And we just have to keep that in mind. We have to keep the future in mind. We want our babies, to grow up in a world that is more just for them. So all of the work that's being done now, like having these hard conversations, all the sacrifices that we make on a daily basis are all for the future. So don't give up, don't become discouraged, and just keep the faith.
All right. Thank you for that. Snell, what you got for us?
Man, I just appreciate y'all having me on the show, talking about this stuff. I do look forward to seeing the more diverse, because I want to see other people's point of view on the panel, just to see what they think and what they feel like. But just if you haven't protested, I would say just go out and do it in an organized way, and soak in the experience. Know that you're fighting for something, and just think about like what your grandparents may have went through and the stories you've heard from the older generation. And take pride in that, and know that you'll be able to tell your kids we changed the world, or at least we helped change. And it might not be changed by the time our kids or adults or even our grandkids, but they can say, look, our grandparents fought for this. We want to continue the legacy. Just keep going out there and be proud and pay attention to them local elections.
All right. What you got, Avo?
Just pay attention to your elections. Go out there, put that work in. If you want to go protest, go protest. I don't support looting. I say that with a smile. I don't support looting or rioting, just to say the right thing. But if that's what you feel, it's tough to tell people how to feel when they're mad. Stand up for anything you see that's wrong, though. Like if you see something wrong, don't just stand there and record it. Try to do something about it. If you about that life, I tell you right now, I'm about that life. If I see something, I will be doing something. I can't help that. I've been asked to not do that, but it is what it is. But I support all of that. Just do what you feel is right. We know right and wrong. Figure out who to vote for. I will try to tell you who to vote for if you follow my Twitter. I will figure it out and I will let you know who I believe is a good candidate. I'm not against that. I've been told you shouldn't do that, but man, whatever. I'm trying to do the right thing here, so I'll at least let you know who I think is a good candidate. If you don't know who to vote for, that's it, man. Stay prayed up. God got us.
Appreciate that. What you got, Dot?
Spread love. I don't know, man. Just too much.
Burnt
Hey,
out.
just go do something. Do whatever you feel is right, and don't let nobody judge you about what you're doing. So, and spread love while you do it. So, quick.
Right. Mine is I actually had a conversations with a white friend of mine, comes from a rural town, and we just kind of shared our experiences, and he basically asked me like, hey, a lot's been going on. He wanted to know what can he do. So I basically just told him, in private, and I also encouraged him at the end of that conversation, hey, you've made that clutch free throw in practice with this one-on-one conversation, but now it's time to make it in the game on the big stage in front of the world. So make that vulnerable social media post on Facebook, and who gives a fuck if you lose some friends or followers? I mean, at the end of the day, I'd rather lose a couple followers than lose myself in the process trying to be all politically correct on Facebook. So make that post, do the right thing, and you'll be more surprised. And I'm talking to white people who may be hesitant to support Black Lives Matter out loud. Instead, they're doing it in the closet. Be outward with that. We need people to be loud with that and show unity and show solidarity. So don't worry about Facebook. And be honest, LinkedIn's more gangster than Facebook. You got CEOs and professionals acknowledging George Floyd's name and saying his name. Hell, my CEO even sent out an email acknowledging George Floyd. So now's the time, man. We're addressing racism head on.
Yeah.
All right. That's been another Dynasty Bros episode. Be sure to follow us and subscribe everywhere at Dynasty Bros FF. Yes, I got the ticker going, something fancy at the end. I'm trying to get rid of all these.
Man, this dude.
Trying to get rid of those headers,
y'all gotta get me back so we can shoot the shits, man. I need some fun. Fun on my mind.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely have everyone back.
I need to act stupid.
Hey, we'll have you back, man, at some point. But be sure to subscribe, follow us everywhere. Dynasty Bros FF, got the YouTube channel, got the Facebook page. Part 2 is next week, so just be sure to follow the page for the timing of that event. We just got to work with a lot of schedules, but we'll be back next week.
I thought it was Ebony Delwriter the whole time.
Like the DA? No, I mean,
real nigga would have put DA.
Nah, I'm pro Hobbill and everything, but I do all right. So I'm trying to be grammatically correct.
Look how Snell spell what up.
What up?
Did you get part professionally trained, bro?
Look, I'm not always intelligent, okay?
Snell's a Purdue guy. You're supposed to spell what is up with the punctuation.
That would be too long. That's too many letters.
Yeah, that's
what's up, Snell?
Yeah. All right, look, we're about to get up out of here. I know it's getting late. Everybody who tuned in, y'all invited to the cookout.
I hate y'all.
Can I say that?
Oh, we gotta chill out, man.
I feel like
we got to chill.
For another 30 minutes talking shit.
Yep. Wait, I'm about to light y'all up in the group chat.
All right, bet. All right, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We out. Join us again next week for part 2. Thanks.
All right, peace.
Bye.